We've had a great day. Today has been Municipal Government Day, and we spent the day touring speaking with department heads and touring different buildings in the city. And so we'll start down on this end, on the west.
My name is Guymon, and I work for Seawood. My name is Alex Weatherford, and I also work for Seawood.
I work for the City of Guymon.
Liz McCullough, and I work at D Bank.
My name is Grady Wilson. I work with the City. Meredith Uswell, TCEC.
Daniel Resta, PPCI.
Madison Bierman, Farm Credit of Western Oklahoma. China Black, Panel State Foundation. Natasha Iverson, Oklahoma Panel State University.
We thank you all for participating. Thank you for the day. And you can sit down and watch the rest of it. Oh, get a picture. You want to get a picture? Everybody kind of crowd in here, act like you know each other.
There you go.
You need to be right in the middle.
All right. Thank you all.
Congratulations. You did.
Agenda item number 3 is approval of the consent agenda.
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda, item number 3.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Censor.
Aye.
Swager.
Aye.
Alvingers.
Aye.
Sanchez.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye. Agenda item 4 we're not going to get to do tonight. Scott Lathrop's busy and can't be here, so we'll do that in the near future. Don't want to spoil the whole fun of the deal. Agenda item number 5 is discussion and possible action to approve budget amendment number 1 for Fund number 1, General Fund, for an increase of $14,250. The budget amendment is attached.
Mayor and Council, you'll be seeing quite a few of these budget amendments coming in now between now and the end of the year. This is basically one of the MS contract from Texas County Clerk's Office, and it wasn't calculated on the 2022 budget, so we need to pay it. So we just need to put it correctly.
Okay.
Make a motion that we approve the budget amendment, item number 5. Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Swager.
Aye.
Sanchez.
Aye.
Alvingers.
Aye.
Censor.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye. Agenda item number 6 is discussion and possible action to approve the budget amendment number 1 for Fund 18, the Library Fund, for an increase of $14,585.
Again, Council, money that's coming in from the ARPA, we just need to put it in the right account where we can spend it.
I make a motion we approve budget amendment number 1 for Fund 18, Library Fund, for an increase of $14,585.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Sanchez.
Aye.
Swager.
Aye.
Censor.
Aye.
Alvingers.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye. Agenda item number 7 is discussion and possible action to approve funding of $25,000 for the Home for the Holiday event as recommended by the Convention and Tourism Board. Some supporting documents are attached, so with that, Ms. Shea, would you like to?
Yes, I heard that you all had some questions about the $25,000 for
Okay.
parks.
Yeah, I may go ahead and start this. I'm going to put on my Grinch hat right now. It's a fantastic showing that you guys that was put on last year. I went, I attended, it was awesome. I just do not like the way it was steamrolled through conventional tourism. I don't think that's...
That asking for the money was steamrolled through Convention and Tourism, is that what you said?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
It was presented and it was accepted without a budget. That's not how city business should be conducted.
Sergio, I've been on Convention and Tourism for 10 years now,
Okay.
and...
The CNT board is there,
Right,
and they are appointed by the council.
right.
You understand that? So there's certain guidelines that need to be met. And We just can't have something go through without a budget.
Right.
That is not how government business should happen. I love the idea.
So there was a lot of confusion with this, is what happened with this
Okay.
deal?
I understand.
No, I don't think
But
you
it-
do,
it's still-
because
it still
actually the
happened.
Okay,
$25,000.
wait. Let him finish, and then
Okay.
you can talk.
It
Okay.
still happened, there's
It did.
guidelines. That's what I'm not okay with.
Okay.
And that's my 2 cents.
It is a huge event for Guymon. Last year, there was 22,000 people that went through that park. Usually average 12,000 people. The casino put in over $30,000 with man hours and help for it. We had Sims Electric who did many, many hours. I myself did many, many hours, and all we're asking is for the city to give back. So whenever I first presented this, I thought that I would do the $25,000 and it would actually be advertising, just like whenever the sponsorship goes through the rodeo. A lot of confusion about the way we should handle it. Also, the $25,000, and the reason we came up with $25,000 to begin with was there's $25,000 was allocated for fireworks, which was not able to use because we had burn bans. Now, in the 10 years that I have been on convention and tourism, not once have I ever seen a budget for fireworks. We just give them the $25,000.
It's a line
And whatever, well, I'm sorry?
It's a line item.
But before it was a line item, it should have been a budget, right?
The fireworks is for fireworks.
It's,
But fireworks, it's not just for fireworks. They also hire somebody to put off the fireworks. It's not just for fireworks.
Okay, we can make
So
this
they
all-
have to have a budget. They should actually show what it goes to.
Understood.
You know, so I mean, like, it's one thing or not the other. And if you're going to nix our idea for $25,000, then there's also other things you have to nix if it's due to a budget error.
Okay,
So I'm just saying
I
that.
understand that.
I mean,
I'm not
I feel like, you know, and anyways, the $25,000, what I wanted to do was, like, city should have given $25,000 for advertising. This, I don't know any other event last year that actually advertised this city better than the lights at the park. I mean, everybody thanked you, they thanked the casino, they thanked everybody who was out there. I cannot
It's a great
imagine,
event. I just don't like the way it was presented.
I understand that.
Okay.
And I think, you know, even going forward in events for next year, and the reason, you know, that our budget has to be so big this year too is because there's not structure over the other side to even put the lights in. There's no plug-ins, there's nothing over there right now on the west side. And what I understand from Mr. Shannon is that and City Council is that you all are working on actually getting the infrastructure in for us to be able to do that next year. So there are some things on our budget that we have to actually have more for to be able to do this year. And we also realized how many man hours and how much time each one of us took away from our own families being out there. You know, and if we could have the man hours and be able to pay for it and be done, that's what our goal is to do. And, you know, and actually just make it bigger and better every year. And it's actually something that brings people into Guymon. The Lions Club did wonderful with their train, and they're going to do it again this year. This year we'll have like hot chocolate and popcorn given out the first day. It will be open from December 1st till December 31st. Anybody can go out there and enjoy it. It's a free thing from the city. I realize the city paid for the electricity last year, which I'm also asking for them to do again this year. Even if you don't give us the $25,000 or grant us the $25,000 on a technicality, I still feel like this town deserves to have something great like that here. And voting against it would be, you know, not in your best interest, I wouldn't think. I mean, I think that you are here to promote the city, and if anything, I think that, Sergio, you should look at it and say, maybe we should be able to figure out how to get this done. I realize there was a problem this year in the way that they asked for the money.
You
Maybe
can call
we should,
special meetings for convention and tourism.
we had to call a special meeting because our first time it got nixed off of the agenda. So we had to call a special meeting because it was a mistake of somebody that said, oh, sorry, we didn't realize that was supposed to be on there. So we had to call a special meeting for convention and tourism. If you're asking for us to call another meeting and for us to ask for the $25,000 again with our budget attached, I mean, that's fine, but I feel like it's a waste of time. You have our budget in your hands right now, and
do
I
not
think
have
that it should
so
happen.
Sorry, I don't have it.
It was presented, it was given with the paperwork. I sent it to
That's
Ursula
not
because I was
correct.
told at that meeting at
That's not
tourism for
correct
me to have it
without the
handed in the next
15,000
morning.
given for a
So
schedule.
it was actually presented with the paperwork for city council, and it should be there.
How many man hours did the city put in last year?
I don't have that.
Was George here?
I don't think George is here, no.
George's crew probably put in a good week's work, was the work, but Mandy Mama came in and really helped.
Do you want to talk for the mic? Elder or Armando, could you come up to the mic, please? They're from the casino, and they actually worked there. They were there all the time, working, and they might be able to answer your hours about who put in how many hours.
Well, I was just curious how many man hours the city put in that the city did pay for.
I'm not sure that the city actually paid for overtime for them. I think they were there during working hours. I don't necessarily remember them being there at night. I mean, there's lots of midnight nights that
But
we
they
were there
They
working.
still got paid for the time they were out there.
Absolutely, yes. No, I'm not saying the Parks Department didn't do anything at all. Absolutely, the Parks Department helped us out. You know, I'm just saying, I don't know how many man hours of overtime that the city provided for that. And that's what we're trying to avoid too, is actually the city having to pay for extra man hours and the overtime for it.
Now, originally, in the tourism board meeting, you asked for the $25,000 for infrastructure.
Right.
Then you had a bid from
TCEC.
TCEC.
TCEC gave us a bid of $27,700 to put in the infrastructure on the west side. And I was told that actually by you, Mr. Swagger, and by Mike Shannon, that money should come out of city. City should just pay for that and it shouldn't come out of tourism. So then I said, well, if we don't have the infrastructure, maybe we can use that $25,000. And I was still under the assumption that the $25,000 that were supposed to go to fireworks was there and it was available because they didn't have the fireworks this year. So fireworks are, how long do you think $25,000 worth of fireworks last? 30 minutes?
Okay, if you're going to
So-
make comments, you need to come up to the mic.
Okay.
Okay.
She said 30 minutes is what she thinks fireworks last. I'm asking for $25,000 for you to actually invest back into this city that was going to last, it's going to last for years. I mean, we actually get more lights that we can do. We have more ideas, we have more volunteers, and to shut us down and tell us no, then you're basically telling every one of us here that has worked out there, we don't really care about it. This is not something that we want to do.
What did you do with the light from last year?
They are stored at the casino. They were nice enough to store them. This is Elder from the casino.
Hello, my name is Elder Guymon. We had 6 guys on our crew, put in about 60 hours a week. Took us about 6 weeks to put it together. I know the city, George, he had probably 6 guys with him. They put in at least 60 hours a week out there.
We did overtime, so the city did help.
We have all the lights stored at the casino in a storage room, and we've already got them all out from last year. They're all intact from when we put them in.
And then we also had donations at the end of, or actually the first of this year in January, whenever lights went on sale. I asked for more donations for more businesses, and we actually bought even more lights to be able to put this year, and we bought them at a discount, so that way we would have it. We just don't have the infrastructure on the west side yet, so it's gonna take more people putting up more lights and making it a bigger event.
So is there a committee for this, the lights,
Yes,
for the
it's-
holidays?
it's-
Do you
yes.
sit on that committee?
Yes. I'm
And you
gonna-
also sit on the CMP board?
Yes, and I actually, I didn't vote on that. I recused myself from the vote of that, yes.
Just wanted to make that clear.
Yes, I made sure I recused myself. And honestly, I really believe that this might be able to be something in the future that the chamber should take over. But as you know, the chamber doesn't have anybody working for them right now. And I mean, I know years down the road, we're gonna be tired, we're gonna need somebody else. And I think it should be a chamber event and it's for the city and the chamber to actually work together. And the money can go right over to the chamber or, wherever it needs to go for them to help and do the things that they need to do to make this a bigger event. Because this is something that can be, it is already, it was already a big event for Guymon to begin with. This is a big event for Guymon. And it's a free event for everybody in this community to go and enjoy.
Did I misunderstand you in the tourism board meeting that it was my thinking that Crane Works was gonna donate? to
There's a
Crane?
lot of in-kind on there, if you'll notice, and yes, there will be a crane donation, but we still have to add it in as money things that people are gonna end up donating to us, because we're gonna end up giving them a W-9 and saying here, for their donation. So there's a lot, and there's even man hours that's gonna be donated. There, you know, I can't say that I'm gonna write checks for $62,000 total for this. I mean, I would like to write even more, actually, and have more money to be able to make it as big. I mean, when you get Elder, and you get George, and you get Armando, and you get Charles from the Lions Club, and you get any of the casino guys out there, getting them to calm down and not want it to be seen from space this year is a little hard, you know, because that's what their goal was. And I said, you know, how about if we just go to the west side? Like, let's just go all the way around the track. And that's really our goal, is it to be around that train track and actually, you know, make it as big as we can. But each year, adding on to it, and hopefully getting other committees involved in it.
Yeah, as someone that's put on an event in this city before, it's not easy. It takes a lot of work. And it drives me crazy when we sit here and we nitpick these events for a $25,000 event. We don't even second guess or ask questions about $250,000 purchases we make for the fire station or for the police officers. We don't even bat an eye. But when it comes to these events, we start questioning every tiny little purchase, and it's to benefit our citizens. And it makes us look good. That event made us all, every one of us up here, look good. So I don't understand why we would sit here and nitpick it, especially when a majority of this was worked out in a commission and in a committee. And yes, there wasn't a budget present at the time where we had the convention and tourism meeting, but I can tell you personally that I've been a part of several events that didn't have a budget when we went through and we started it, and we didn't have to have a budget until afterwards, especially when it was anything that was funded through grants. So I just think it's really silly that we're up here nitpicking an event that's going to benefit every single person in this room.
And $25,000, if you think $25,000 didn't go into that event last year, you're kidding yourself, because the amount of hours, the amount of money that we got donated, I mean, there was way more than $25,000 that went in last year to benefit this city, to benefit the people that you're up there representing. So I'm asking for a small donation of $25,000 to help out this community.
On the activity center, and I'm still gonna nitpick, I'm sorry, but.
Go ahead, you can ask me
That's
now.
our job. is-
Well, you're on the commission, you're on the convention and
Yeah.
tourism board, so you should have done it then.
He didn't have the budget.
Did you read
I-
your minutes?
I did, yeah.
You didn't read them then, because I voted no.
I know you voted no, but we should have been working this out
And I voted no
then.
because there was no budget.
And that's the right vote.
So the activity center is $3,750. We, as far as home for the holidays, we started this because somebody on my convention and tourism board one year said the ice skating rink is a stupid idea. And it was my idea. And I said, oh, really? So they voted it down that year. Got voted down the next year. Finally, we got them to vote it in last year. So I decided right then, okay, this has to be a very big event. Like, this cannot just be an ice skating rink. And that's whenever I called my daughter Shelby, Shelby reached out to Otis from the casino. Casino got involved. So many different people got involved. Sims Electric got involved. And we said, let's do lights in the park and have lights down at the park and have an ice skating rink, and then actually have something going on in this city for December. So, I did get to tell that guy, yeah, I think it was a good event last year. I think it actually worked out just fine. But I know your question is about the $3,750 to the activity center. I believe it's a ridiculous amount. But the ice skating rink has already been done through tourism, and it was $15,000 for that ice skating rink. Yeah. The one thing that happened last year that was also a phenomenon around here was the fact that we didn't have any horrible days during that time that the ice skating rink was here, and it was outside. Our question to the ice skating rink people was, can we move it inside? Their answer was yes. So I have been to two of the Texas County Activity Center meetings. The last meeting, they didn't have a quorum, so they couldn't meet, because my question is like, can we get this lowered from $3,750, first of all? And secondly, can I actually have the ice skating rink inside? Home for the Holidays is willing to pay for the activity center so we can put the rink inside, so whoever runs the rink this year, in case there is a snowstorm or wind or anything else, they'll actually be able to run it for the entire 7 days. So around the rink this year on the weekend, we'll actually have a craft show going on, and what our committee plans on doing is having money made back from the booth rent of that, and hopefully that will counteract some of that $3,750 that we're going to have to pay to be able to rent the activity center.
So you will be renting booths. What are you charging for those?
I think $135 each. Yeah, and that will be in our final report. I know I have to have a final report, so that'll be in our final report for how much money was raised for those booth rents, and if we actually get enough people to do it, because it is during the holiday seasons, we'll see what we can do.
I've got one question, I guess. Looked at your budget. Maybe I don't understand, but it appears that the $15,000 for the ice skating rink isn't part of the city's sponsorship. It's not listed on your budget up there.
So, the $15,000 actually is actually a tourism event, and that went straight through tourism. The ice skating rink will be a tourism event, so the city will actually be handling the rental of...
I understand all that. I guess my point being, does that not have an impact of what the city has donated to this thing? That's going to put us into about the $40,000 range if we do the 25. $15,000 we approved
For the ice skating rink,
for
yes.
ice skating rink. Doesn't matter if it's for tourism, in my opinion, or whatever. It's going
Well,
to be.
we could put that on there, so that would raise our up to $77,000. $77,000.
Well, I understand it, but I
for
guess
our
my
budget.
point being is that's part of the event. We've kicked in 15 grand on the event.
Right, but that doesn't make any money back for, or actually support the lights at the park either, the $15,000. And that's what we're asking for, is money for lights at the park.
So I think what he's saying is that we already donated for the ice rink, and
No.
you're asking for money
You've got
here.
the ice rink, but the money's not going to come back to Home for the Holidays, and it's not a Home for the Holidays thing, because what I was understood from Mr. Shannon was once the city signed that contract for the ice skating rink, it becomes a city event and a city liability. So it's not actually a Home for the Holidays event, like we didn't rent it ourselves. If Home for the Holidays had rented it and we'd asked you for $15,000 and we had rented the ice skating rink, then yes, it would be. But it's not money that goes through our hands at all. And actually, we're just going to allow whoever runs the ice skating rink to have it inside the activity center. And that, that's the only thing that we'll have, that actually Home for the Holidays will have to do with the ice skating rink.
Who's going to run your event? Because you have on there contract labor and an amount. Who's your contract labor?
So contract labor is, we believe that we're going to need people actually helping this year to get it all done in time, because we'll start November 1st. And the guys from the casino will put in more hours. They'll get paid some money from the casino, but then we will actually have to pay them for time that they put in for putting up more lights.
So are we going to pay George's crew too?
Yes. If he's not on city time and he's on Home for the Holidays time, yes.
Okay. Any other questions? This is your discussion.
I gotta tell you, coming into this item, and Josh makes a good point, the nitpicking, the whole issue with me was the budget. You know, that's how we should operate, and moving forward, everything should be budgeted, prior planning, prevents poor performance, all that jazz, right?
Right.
So that was my main issue.
And I mean, honestly, Sergio, I really think that it was like, some of it was my problem too, because I'm on Convention and Tourism, which I actually will not be after December. I mean, I've been on it for 10 years, so I'm out. But
because we have, we can be, that man over there tries to keep us out of jail. We don't, stuff like that when you're dealing with city funds.
right, I understand.
There's guidelines, there's policies, there's all this in place, right? You know that.
Yeah.
We're also going to set a precedent if we do accept it. That means anybody that comes in.
But I don't feel like you are setting a precedence, because you set a precedence whenever you gave $25,000 to fireworks, because they've never given us a budget ever. And just to think that it just goes to fireworks and they aren't paying somebody to light off the fireworks, because Justin Johnson's one of my close friends and he gets paid every year to do it, and the fire department pays him to, or that money comes out from that $25,000 for him to do it. So there's a budget there that should have been like, what does it go to?
We've had
So you've
one-
already set a precedence on that one.
I want to shed a little light on that. The fireworks we used to do, it used to be, when I first got on the council, the fire department, through their volunteers and their fund, raised the money for that. And the city kicked in some money. And we got into a deal, I think it was when Kim Meek was here. She said, no, it's a city event, we're going to go ahead and pay for it. So it's been in the budget. It's $25,000 every year. Last year, I don't know exactly what line it was put under or what heading, but we've always had $25,000 budgeted for fireworks. This isn't the first time it's shown up on a budget.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's
And
not the first time.
It's always included. We can't.
But it is a
we can't-
convention and
I can't
tourism.
I can't light them.
Right.
You've got to have, somebody's got a license to light them, so there's.
Yes, and they have to pay for somebody. That I totally understand what you're
Okay.
saying.
So anyway, that's.
Peterson,
I just want to make that clear. We have always, for the last 10 years, we've budgeted $25,000 for fireworks.
Right, and it still came out of convention and tourism, so, and it should have still followed under the same line of, they need a budget. I mean, because that's what
Okay.
convention and tourism has said, so.
See, and I thought that's what the special meeting was for, because I thought you were going to present the budget that day.
I know, well, and that's what I was trying to say, is I have been on convention and tourism long, and I just thought money, conversations between other people, money could be handled as far as like $25,000 as like, we've asked for donations from other companies. I mean, just like the casino, and they haven't asked us for a budget. It's advertising for them. So I thought that we would use it sometimes like we do on convention and tourism. We use it as a advertising thing. And I thought that it would be switched over to that. So it was like a miscommunication between about 4 of us,
Now, I do
so.
have a question, and this is just what I've heard, I don't know this for a fact, but I would like to ask. I understand that the casino is going out asking for donations,
No,
put this on?
no.
No, or for sponsorship?
That's incorrect, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that, because somebody told me that, so.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Okay.
And if any of you would like to donate personally, we do have a bank account at Bank of the Panhandle where you could actually do a contribution for Lights at the Park.
Are you a 401K?
No, we actually go through Main Street Guymon, and they actually help us out, and so does the Guymon Community Enrichment Fund, so that way we can go ahead and do a W-9 on everybody. So, and we'll be glad, I mean, if you need us to, I mean, I have bank records, you can see all the bank records too, all the checks that were written. We don't have anything to hide. It all goes right back into this community for the lights.
Okay. Anybody got anything else, Sergio? Anybody?
No, I don't have anything.
Geraldine, Josh?
I make a motion, we approve the funding for $25,000 for the Home for the Holidays event as recommended by the Convention and Tourism Board.
I would like to second that with an amendment, that everything from now on, the budget needs to be provided. I know you gentlemen don't want to be in trouble with OML, can only go so far. Petty's here for us. It's a great event. I came into this meeting thinking that I was going to not oversee the fact that it was approved and pushed through without a budget. But in the spirit of Christmas, the spirit of everything that's going on, I want to second that with that amendment.
I've got, Mr. Petty, you can tell me if I can do this. One of my concerns since we started talking about this last week, or found out about it, was the fact that you want to dig some holes and put some big poles in the ground. I understand. So my deal, I would like to amend his amendment that the city has the right to inspect and approve anything that's put in out there. As far
Is
as,
there a height requirement?
as far as those poles.
Yeah, actually, we had already discussed that if we got the poles put in, that we needed to have it inspected, like,
So
your
I
inspector
think-
needs to, and we need to make sure that we set them someplace, and it's actually to make giant Christmas trees that would be less expensive and actually use them for other activities out there, so we were gonna, that was one of our things with putting those poles in, was we would definitely have somebody out there saying, yes, we can put them there, and getting approval from the city before we set them too. I might as well stay.
Okay. Have a motion and a second.
The two of them.
The two, we good?
Sanchez,
Aye.
Swager, Stetser,
All right.
Alvarez,
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye, and with one last little deal is, we all know Christmas comes in December. So let's start on this project earlier next year, have open lines of communication, because we have been having discussions about getting electricity and power all over the lake, so that it's available for, if you want to have a concert, or do you want to have whatever
Maybe
out
a
there.
4th of July extravaganza, I don't know, we need to
But,
utilize that park.
but we need to
are home for the
utilize.
holidays, but we're not just Christmas, we've decided, so we're gonna try to do
So
something
anyway,
for 4th of July.
I will vote aye, but I want that in place. And also, anything that involves infrastructure to the city, you need to run it through either Mr. Shannon or run it through our code enforcement officer and our city planner, so that we know that everything is done, so that nobody gets hurt, nobody gets killed, no accidents, that it's a good deal.
Right. Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 8, discussion and possible action to approve and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement between the City of Guymon and the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge Number 125 for the calendar year 2023. And Mr. Shannon?
Thank you. Mayor, council, I want to recognize the FOP. I've been through quite a few negotiations, but I appreciate each and every one of you. We sat down and agreed, we disagreed, and come to an agreement. So I'm very proud of our police departments, and especially the union, where they've conducted themselves during the negotiations. So I think the union is in agreement, and so is the city of Guymon. We're just waiting for your approval.
I make a motion that we approve the authorization of the mayor to sign the agreement between the city of Guymon and the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge Number 125, for calendar year 2023.
Second.
Have a motion and a second?
Stetser.
Aye.
Sanchez.
Aye.
Swager. Alvarez.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye. Agenda item number 9 is discussion and possible action to approve access easement, utility easement, and lease agreement between Climavision Operating LLC and the City of Guymon for radar system equipment on the water tower and certain premises. And we've got two ladies here that are going to inform us and educate us.
Absolutely. Thank you both, or all of you, for having both of us, I mean. So I'm going to probably, maybe can I slide this back just a little bit so I can see this good?
You can move that thing anywhere you want.
All right, thank you.
Except you can't
I'm very
take,
short, so I hope
you can't take it home, though.
So first of all, I'm Tara Good. This is Emily Paulsat on my team. We've spent a couple of days here in the state of Oklahoma, so forgive us if we look a little like a tumbleweed. We've been rolling across the entire state. We're going to walk you through a presentation about a project we are proposing for the city of Guymon here. It's something we're doing all across the United States, but very focused on the Southeast and Oklahoma and Texas especially. So who's driving the presentation, just so, okay, thank you so much. So let me start with why we're here, first of all. I'll move through our mission. Next slide. So first of all, we fill gaps in traditional weather observations and surveillance to help communities better prepare and respond to volatile weather. And I should back up a little bit and let you all know that I started my professional life in local government in similar situations as you all, working with mayors, city managers, from populations ranging from 1 million to 30,000 on both coasts. And as I was sharing with Mike at one point, I actually had natural disasters follow me wherever I went for some reason. And so while I was doing that work, I was very motivated and inspired to help communities better deal with that. The first disaster I dealt with was an EF4 tornado, and we lost 8 kids, and that will change your life. That will change your trajectory. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing today. Emily has her own story for being here. But I wanted to share that personal story so that you know that I know what you guys are dealing with every day. So kind of to dig into the science here a little bit, and I'll go quick. Emily, jump in anytime when you know you need to fill in. Our goal is really about gaps in observation, right? So in the United States, we're very fortunate that we have the gold standard of weather networks. I worked with over 90 countries prior to coming over to Climate Vision, and they were all trying to emulate what we do in the United States. We have an awesome National Weather Service network comprised of S-band systems. But if you look at the image to the left compared to the one at the right here, that's indicative of the gaps that we're talking about. So the National Weather Service is very focused on long-range, high-power, let's get the biggest view as high in the atmosphere as we possibly can to try to see what's coming towards some community. So basically, on the left-hand screen, that's 3 kilometers, 4,000 feet and above in the atmosphere. We have pretty good comprehensive coverage. If you look at the image on the right, that's everything 3 to 4,000 feet and below. And so where we're sitting in Guymon right now, you're actually right in the center of what we call a weather gap or surveillance gap. So your National Weather Service or nearby service system beam is actually overshooting you guys by about 6,000 to 7,000 feet. And so what we focus on is that lower level. Next slide. So this is not a new problem, which I'll touch on in just a second, but for us, a lot of communities will ask us, well, why now? Why are you focused on this now? The main reason is that the volatility of weather events and the cost of weather events is increasing. We are seeing weather patterns change. That is just the nature of weather, and we know that we can't change weather, but we want to try to mitigate it as much as possible. We are based in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm Florida native myself, but you guys have all seen on the news what we've dealt with in Kentucky ourselves. So on the west side of the state, we had a historic tornado that is costing us about $3 billion in the state. And then just recently we had the flooding on the eastern side of our state. So we're feeling the pain at home already, but of course we're just one of many communities dealing with the same thing. So that's why we're here now trying to deal with this in a public-private partnership way to get the solution out there faster. So a little more about weather gaps. Next slide. Again, I just mentioned that it's not a new problem. If you were to try to go in and fill the 200 plus gaps in the United States, or I should say surveillance gaps in the United States, it would be very costly for the federal government. It's just not something that they are equipped to do, and it's also something that's not expedient. So they're looking for other options, looking for other ways, again, to partner with the weather community and weather private entities like ourselves to figure out a solution here. We're working with NOAA on a CRADA whereby they would go through and pull in the information so that they could provide the appropriate warnings for the communities. And it just shows you that there is an appetite there now to say, okay, we know we have a problem here. Let's find a way to fix this fast and protect as many people as possible. Charlotte was the most notable gap in the state, or not the state, in the country. It was the most notable in North Carolina, of course, and we've actually filled that gap now. So we have a similar model running in the state of North Carolina. It actually will take 3 systems to fill that entire Charlotte region gap. We have 2 live right now and 1 going up soon. This gives you a little bit more about the science of the gaps. I won't belabor this slide. I really kind of want to focus on the left-hand portion of the screen because you've already seen the right hand. When we talk about low-level gaps, why are we so worried about them? It's because that's where a lot of crazy stuff happens. So this is where you might see a microburst, an EF1, and even an EF0, an EF2, where people go, oh my gosh, something really crazy just happened here, but we didn't get a warning, we have no idea what happened. Somebody comes out, they survey, maybe a spotter picks it up, and they say, oh yeah, there was a tornado here, we've confirmed it, we can see the rotation and the land. But it's something that you want to know beforehand, right, before it hits your community. And this is exactly what this particular radar will do for the community. I often use the Tennessee community that we're working with as an example. They were last summer sitting in a situation where they had 4 inches of rain forecast, and they actually got 21 inches of rain. Literally did not see it coming because just crazy things happen in that lower atmosphere. They're bringing a radar system to their community, and it's going to supplement the closest next rad, which again is about 60 miles plus away from them. So they'll have full visibility into not only what's happening above them and coming their way, but also what's happening on the ground in real time. Next slide. So this is your weather gap here. Anything in red is a National Weather Service system at the 4,000 feet and below. And then the purple are the gaps that we're filling. So we spent our morning in Sayre. We're actually putting a system there. We're putting a system over near McAllister, Choctaw Nation, and we have one other system going in the state of Oklahoma. We have 14 going in the state of Texas, and there will be over 200 by the time it's all said and done. So we're going to play this video for you. If you just hover over that play button, a lot of times a video or a picture can speak 1,000 words. A couple things. I'm actually probably going to let Emily, I always say Emily describe this because she's really good at it. So do you want to give a little description of what they're seeing on the screen?
Sure. So the imagery on the left, this would depict the exact same technology that we would be installing and bringing to your all's community. The imagery on the right depicts a National Weather Service system that was about 90 miles away from this particular tornado event. Is it giving you some trouble playing? Is it playing for you all? I can't see it on mine. That's okay though, I can talk through it. You can probably see just from the still images the difference in the data quality. Are you able to get back to that slide? There we go. So the imagery on the left, the Ranger X5, that's highly resolute data. And part of the reason why is because, one, this was placed to fill a gap and was sort of a beta case for why filling gaps is so important. And it was a lot closer to where the tornado actually occurred. So that's one reason why the data quality is vastly different. The second reason is just the technology. X-band technology is about 10 times more resolute than the S-band technology that was on the right. So there's I won't get into too much of the radar technology and bore you guys, but there's sort of a trade-off between the distance a radar beam can go and the quality of the data. So for your all's purposes of filling a gap, we're really honing in on the high-quality data, and it will go for about 60 miles. So you don't really need it to go further than that. We're going to plug a bunch of different gaps, so you might as well take advantage of the really high-resolution data. And we can send this video to you all later. We just tend to have trouble with this one.
And so now we'll talk about the radar a bit. Can you go to the next slide? So the radar itself, and just in radar terms, is actually quite compact. So compared to what the National Weather Service deploys, they use an S-band system that has a 40-foot radome, which is that white ball, and it has a 20 to 28-foot dish. So it's pretty massive. It needs a lot of infrastructure, a lot of new infrastructure to support it, where our radar is what Emily and I affectionately call a baby radar. It's about 5 feet tall, at least the pedestal is, and then the dish itself is about 8 foot. So the feed horn, or that little center horn that sits on the top of it, kind of overshoots my head a little bit. And it's great because you can just pop it on top of existing infrastructure. Weight-wise, it's fairly low weight when we're talking about the infrastructure that we look at. So it's not near as cumbersome or involved as an S-band system.
Are you 2 to 4 gigahertz?
We are 9200 and 9700, so we're super high frequency.
Okay.
And we're licensed by the FCC before we place anything. It's a frequency that doesn't really get used much, so it doesn't have a lot of interference, but we don't touch those.
So that's the S-band.
The S-band is 27 to 2900. Yeah. So it's a much lower frequency, and it's actually closed, so we couldn't get in it if we wanted to, but yeah.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yep. And maybe just go back to that one slide. I wanted to touch a little bit more on the fine print. If you go back one, there we go. So maybe I'll talk about the install really quickly. First of all, the radar, we look at locations like water tanks. In this particular situation, we've been looking at a water tank. It's honestly the most straightforward infrastructure that we can use because not many people are climbing on top of a water tank very often except for maintenance. And so the tank you have here has cleared structural, and it's a good one to use. It can operate without interference. We control it remotely, we maintain it, we come annually, and then of course if there was any issue going through, if something happened and it turned off, we'd come and we'd deal with it. The installation itself is about a 10-day installation. We assemble everything on the ground, we lift it with a crane, place it on top, we weld it using a water tank manufacturer and maintenance provider. They come on site and do all of that. And then we do a third-party inspection to make sure all is good. So it's fairly simple installation, even though it does sound a little bit large. The structural is already complete, like I said. And then I think the most important thing is it's no cost to the community. So we give you back all of the data. Mr. Shannon, along with all of yourselves, any school board, any government officials that you wanted to have access to the real-time information would get that. And additionally, you'd also get training on how to actually use this information for emergency management purposes. So our meteorologist, who is actually also an EMA provider in Louisiana, would be on site helping you with that work.
Have you had any complaints in any of your installs with interference with?
Nope.
With any?
Nope, none at all. Nope. That's why the X-band is primo. Now, if you had to have like a C-band or something, that would be a problem. C-band systems, they're actually very common, like with the media, and they're on that 52 to 5700 frequency range. Tons of interference right now on those. So actually, you're seeing a lot of TV stations have to turn theirs off because of that. Wi-Fi and 5G is really part of what's causing that. But on the 92 to 9700, we haven't had any issues. These are the partners we work with. So Enterprise Electronics Corporation, I spent a long time there myself. That's where I went after I was in government. Again, they've worked all over the world, building out national networks, much like what we have here in the United States. They're kind of our sister company, and so they manufacture the system on our behalf, and then they'll actually come and do the installation, oversee everything. They are the pros in the field that you want doing this kind of thing, and of course Emily, myself, and Jonathan on our team would be a part of that effort as well. And then PTTG is based in Kentucky, not too far from us, about 2 hours, and they specialize in water tanks. So they build the platform, they know what not to do on a water tank, they know to baby that tank and make sure they treat it like their own. So just wanted you to have some assurance that we're working with the pros in the field who should be doing this kind of thing. Show you a little bit about the data access here. Next slide. So this particular image actually was, I think this was Hurricane Ian. Okay. So this was Hurricane Ian inside of our data viewer. A couple of things to point out here. This is a website URL base, so meaning you could access it anywhere you are, if you're at home, if you're in your car, on your phone, whatever. So it's very easy, straightforward. You don't have to go log into a special dashboard for it. Every one of these little polygons or colored images here, these are actually the next route alerts, so you can actually get them all in one place. Your radar would be seen live on here along with all of the National Weather Service systems that are around you. You can toggle between them. You can look at a mosaic. Or you can just look at yours. In fact, today, one of our North Carolina partners, we were talking with them about how they used it for Hurricane Ian when they knew it was coming their way. And they were able to get more discriminate data about what was happening in their neck of the woods versus just looking at this, big view, this big blob kind of coming over their area. So wanted you to at least get an image, especially a recent image, of what that looks like. This is just another good image that kind of just shows you a couple of things. First of all, on the left-hand side and the image on the right, you can actually see there was new data which shows you that the radar is doing exactly what we intend it to do, what we want it to do. It plugged a gap. It showed some new information that the next rad was overshooting a bit. And then if you look at the bottom image, this is actually a piece of the same exact weather event. The next rad information plumbed into our 3-dimensional viewer, 2-dimensional viewer. And you can see that little slice right there that shows you the gap that we're talking about. That shows our beam hit about, I think that was 11,000 feet. We could see basically 11,000 feet and above at this particular weather situation. A couple of ways you can use the data, and I would argue you can come up with all kinds of ways beyond just this. One of the ways we used it a lot in my prior life was working with the school board and dealing with school dismissals. And this particular EF4 tornado hit in southeast Alabama. We didn't have basements. So where our kids were in a severe weather event was very important. So we were relying on, at the time, this was 2007, any kind of data source we could get our hands on to help better inform our decisions about what to do with children. The same would be true for yourselves, but you can also use it to isolate things like where did hail go? What did hail hit? Or where was this spin up? Where did this echo happen or this particular rotation? Which again, I mean, you're not going to walk out of training as a meteorologist, but you'll certainly understand certain signatures inside of what you see on the screen that would help you understand something that might have happened. You can use it for sandbagging if you needed to. I don't think that that's a common occurrence here, but if you had some craziness happen, certainly it would be an option. But I think you can come up with tons of other ways beyond just this, but these are the typicals. The partnership journey, I think this is the last slide, but this is the typical steps that we walk through with all of our partners. First of all, site selection. We have picked a site here that we think is good. It's cleared all of our engineering assessment. It's cleared the structural assessment, which we have and would provide to everybody at the city for review. And then we finalize a lease. We do have a template that we start with. We certainly, ask everybody to weigh in. It outlines our obligations to you, and more importantly, that we're on the hook for it. If something happens to it, it's our problem, not yours. It is an expensive piece of equipment, but it's not anything that you guys would be responsible for. And right now, we're pretty energized to get Oklahoma done sooner rather than later for a couple reasons. We want to beat severe weather season if we can. We have several others, again, waiting in the wings for their systems. So if we can get them all done, at one time while our crews are here, that's certainly ideal. And really just to fill the entire state. So you'd have, your 4 systems live and running and every gap filled. And that's a great story to tell, not just from a Guymon perspective, but from a state perspective. So we do want to get it done quickly. Q1, Q2 is what we're aiming for next year. And then do ribbon cutting, share it with your community. It's pretty exciting. I get very excited about weather, which probably tells you I don't have much of a life other than kids and weather, but we would be thrilled to do that with you guys. So with that, I will pause. I talk super fast, and I will take questions with you.
Well, you certainly seem to share a lot of attributes with the people of Guymon in the area, because we talk about the weather a lot.
Oh, good.
And it's really disheartening sometimes to see how inaccurate our weather apps are currently. So on a scale of, I guess, 1 to 10, what do you think how much of an accuracy, pinpoint, will this help?
I can't give you a percentage. I would say it would take you much higher than what you're currently dealing with. And the example that I use a lot, and it's a very simple example, is that we all get frustrated if we're standing somewhere and our app says it's not raining and yet we're getting poured on, right? Or vice versa, maybe you change an event because you thought bad weather was coming and actually didn't come. This would fill that void in that information. So it should be a fairly immediate change in what you're seeing, right? Because you're actually going to have a new observation. And that's really where the problem is here, is that you don't have an observation that's looking at what you need to be looking at. I liken it a lot to turning on a flashlight in a dark area, and that's what you'd be doing. If you turn on a flashlight, boom, you see it all. And so that's exactly what this radar would do. So, the time of it coming into all the different apps might vary. Our focus is really on working with NOAA, where the warnings come in, and that's the most important part. At that point, I'd be saying, don't worry about your app, just go to your viewer, right? That's where you're going to get the more accurate. Some of these companies, they pull from all different sources, but it should be fairly instant.
Yeah, so as a teacher, you're saying we're going to have more days off? Is that what you're saying?
It is definitely possible.
Do you guys resell your data or anything like some of the other news apps do?
We do. We absolutely. So that's how we underwrite the radar. So we work with all kinds of industries. And we don't do just real-time data. So, your focus is really real-time data, and that's what these radars do for communities. But what that allows us to do is have an improved model. So the model is often more interesting for an energy company, or let's say a transportation company. Agriculture is a big one, government, aviation, drones, things like that. So we've been able to kind of build 2 paths so that we can do some public good, but obviously we need to pay for it. So that's how we do it.
Great presentation. I'd like to hear from staff, from our pros, to get their input on this. So, we have a 911 member out there in the chiefs. If you have any input on this, please.
Yeah, basically, when we first got contacted on this, I was like, what's the cost, or what are we looking at? And kind of to go back what they said to you, we're in the, they've got the curvature of the earth, and we're just too far from Amarillo or Dodge City to get a good picture of what is actually up here. So what you were talking about, Josh, earlier, sometimes we have warnings issued when they're maybe not a need, but it's kind of like in the panhandle up here, it's the best guess of what they're seeing at radar. Because you can pull up your app now, and I can pull up my app off of either Amarillo or Dodge City, but we're just going to see the top of that storm, and that's not what, in weather or emergency management training, the action area is the bottom part of that storm. That's what we need to be looking at. And so we've learned a few tricks to start seeing trends at the high levels of what may be happening down low, but it's a guess. And sometimes we get tornado warnings when there are no tornadoes. And then there's other times we've taken photos, sent back to Amarillo and said, this is what we had on the ground, and it never showed up. It's going to take a really large tornado in our area to show up well on radar, just because of how far we are. And anytime you have redundancy in emergency management or public safety, it's a great thing. Amarillo radar, just to give you examples, been down 2.5 weeks, I believe, because of a motor that went out recently. And so we didn't have any severe weather the last few weeks. That was good. It's back in service now. But we were covered only by Dodge. Well, Dodge barely covers from coming Guymon north. And if you're trying to look at things like rotation, you're not going to see it at all. So it was exciting to have the opportunity to look at something like this, because we've asked the Weather Service, what's the chances of getting radar up in the Panhandle? Cimarron County is even worse off than we are. They're so far from radar. And what's the chances? And they're like, based on your population, probably none. And so having an opportunity to fill that gap and maybe get that data, there's a couple other things to not get in the weeds too much on radar, but theirs makes a sweep much faster than what Amarillo's does, because Amarillo's takes multiple slices and then it comes back to that lower, and I think it's every 4 to 6 minutes we get, and I think yours makes the rotation much faster, and the data's coming in quicker. And on that video is what they were going to show you was you're going to see only a few frames difference on National Weather Service radar. On theirs, you see multiple frames. You could actually see the circulation in the cell. And then kind of like a photo, you see a bad pixelated photo, and that's what we get up here, is the pixels are so far apart, we're trying to make a judgment call, even on a red and green on rotation, based on maybe 2 or 3 pixels. And the closer you are to the radar, you're going to get much more condensed data, and you're able to kind of differentiate, is this good or is it bad? And I'm OK First certified as far as radar. I think I'm the only one in the county that's went to that training. And you spend a lot of time in training. This is the image you're going to see on radar when you have, a microburst or a tornado. And then they would look over at Justin and say, except you're in the Panhandle, you won't see that because we don't have coverage in your area. So on our end, on the emergency management side, I'm still emergency manager at Goodwell. I'm out pretty much for every storm, or I'm watching radar in the county, work closely with pretty much all the towns here. And then also in the 911 center itself, we keep a radar map up all the time. But like I said, again, it's just kind of the best guess of what that radar's showing. So.
And if I remember the map correctly, this extends beyond the Panhandle, beyond Cimarron County,
I believe about
right?
60 miles is the effective radius of it, yes. So it's going to actually add some in Cimarron County and Beaver also.
Cool.
Thank you, Justin.
So do we have a site picked out yet then?
They're going to put it on the water tower.
Which, oh.
Chief, did you have something?
The one down by the way.
Yeah, okay.
They don't call it the water towers.
First of all, sure, appreciate you guys coming out. You contacted us many months ago, maybe almost a year ago, and on the outskirts, you talked to me about this. It's kind of one of those things. What's the catch? So, kind of tagging on with what 911 director said, as you know, the fire department. We're all talking about the tornadoes and all that stuff. We have to look at the weather every day, 365 days a year here. We deal with the winter weather, the spring weather, the fall, and of course the summer. As you recall, this last summer, or recently, probably a few months ago, we had Amarillo put out a tornado warning for Texas County. does that mean everybody in Texas County, all 27,000 people, need to duck for cover? We didn't know. They couldn't specify. This is something that if it was here, we could be a little bit more direct, be able to isolate and tell the people ahead of the storm, because we know how it's tracking, what actually to do ahead of time. This will increase our awareness time, all that you're aware of that. Snowstorms, when they say that you've got 90% storms, of going to drop 10 inches of snow, and the next morning we wake up and gosh, it's the same as it is today. So we miss something, or it's whether the radar's not. But with this radar here, it's going to be able to predict the weather that we have here in this area, not just Guymon, but the entire Texas County and the areas around. We'll see what's coming in sooner and better. I've seen some of their work. It's remarkable, and it's something that can be utilized by emergency services here in Texas County and the surrounding areas. I think it's a positive that it's here in Guymon. Other people can look at, hey, okay, this is set in Guymon. They've put forth the effort. We're going to use this, and of course, in emergency services 911, the information is going to get out very quickly, and we'll be able to utilize very much. So, I'm a very positive proponent of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could add one thing to the chief's comments. If everybody remembers, a year ago tonight, on council night, we were sitting here and we sent the guys from Woodward home because of the possibility of tornadoes. Later that evening, we had, in fact, I was on the phone text messaging and talking with the chief. We had a little indicator of one out northwest of Guymon, but it didn't show up on the radar. Do you remember that, Chief? So this will take care of that, where we can say, yeah, dang sure is one. Thank you. Just comment. History. My job.
And I know there was a question about a site, so I didn't know if I needed to fill in that. I don't know the name of the tank that we...
It's going to be, you're going to put it down on the one by the rodeo grounds.
Yes. Yeah.
Any questions? Any more ladies? You've educated us a lot. Anybody have any questions for the ladies? I've got, before we go forward, I do have one question. I looked at the contract. Mr. Petty, have you read the contract? You've reviewed it? Okay. That's all I need to know. Any other discussion?
Our contact information is available if you had any follow-on questions, but we really appreciate you hosting us tonight and letting us come.
Well, we're tickled.
Thank you, guys.
I thank you. All right, with that, any more discussion? Motion?
I'll make a motion to approve access easement utility easement lease agreement between Fund Division Operating LLC, City of Guymon, radar equipment on the water tower and certain premises, item 9.
Second.
Have a motion and a second?
Setzer?
Aye.
Swager?
Aye.
Albeavers?
Aye.
Sanchez?
Aye.
Aye. Agenda item number 10 is discussion and possible action to declare the Hitch Rodeo Arena bucking chutes as surplus. Mr. Shannon, you got some photos and...
Yes, we're fortunate to have an organization wanting to donate to the city 8 brand new bucking chutes to replace those as you're looking at right now. In order for us to do that, of course, when something sets on city property, it becomes city property, part of our assets. We have to declare surplus, and we'd like to get permission to advertise and sell those, if at your wishes.
Thank you to the donor. Make a motion that we declare Hitch Rodeo Arena bucket chutes as surplus item 10.
Second?
Have a motion and a second?
Swager?
Aye.
Sanchez?
Aye.
Albeavers?
Aye.
Setzer?
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye. Agenda item number 11 is discussion and possible action to enter into executive session pursuant to 25 Oklahoma Statutes 307 B4 for confidential discussion with the city attorney concerning a pending investigation and a potential claim.
Make a motion that we enter into executive session item 11.
Second.
Have a motion and a second?
Setzer?
Aye.
Sanchez?
Aye.
Albeavers?
Aye.
Swager?
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye. All right.
Are we going to do the same thing for
We have to. We will convene to the executive session. Oh, man. It said too long. You got paper. You don't need to tonight.
Or you just.
He's probably up here, but I think that's my house smells like it's like this for years and but I think they're all it's just the on the stones. Not too funny. She's so funny. She has she's like just yeah, she's taking the photos. I'll have Tisha. She's 16 years old. Bella's got an attitude. I know they're waiting on me first. Yeah, I know from something. Yeah, you can send it. You want me and then show you red. They're all 300. That's the colors for the color red, yellow, and green, like mine was green. So we went with Maverick. Well, Richard was Maverick. And oh, Amber says, well, there is a goose. I'm like, yeah, talk good. That's perfect. Maverick. And he goes, it's like a big thing. She just gives him a great car. She wants to go and she's like, no. Oh, yeah, we get them. Yeah, I know. We've been taking food away, weighing it down to where it's mush and then just that. And then we get them water. Remember, we're being a run. He's got the doctor and he's spread out. He's like, mine. And he's carrying this box straight. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm She's like trying to. No, then I'm getting the shit out. Yeah, my speaker. I got that, which is probably.
I know, the signings are all.
I go over to the women's house and they say, I was like, I like white squirt. So I went over to her house to make some big portraits. And there he was. I was like, what are you doing last night? Invite me or library. Yes, ma'am. I did not miss any. Oh, did I miss something? Not quite sure where to find.
Why you're here.
That's so
The show was over,
Tracy started singing and everybody
Tracy, you don't have somewhere to be? Everybody's not
Why'd you run everybody off, Tracy?
Earlier, I thought it was, I was ready to throw down, but.
I don't want to know what item that was.
He's still pumped up. I know what item he's taking.
You had to behave. I make a motion that we resume city council meeting.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Aye.
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 Aye. There was no action taken. Agenda item number 12 is discussion and possible action to enter into executive session pursuant to 25 Oklahoma Statutes 307B3 to discuss the appraisal of the City of Guymon real property.
Make a motion that we enter executive session. Item 12.
I'll second.
Forgot about this.
What, was you getting ready to leave?
Yeah.
No, we're not done. Okay, I have a motion and a second.
Aye.
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 Aye. We retired to executive session. Whatever term I'm. Should have had a motion on both rules of the city.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Larry. Bye, Larry. They were born 9/11.
Huh?
They were born on 9/11.
Oh, really? So they're almost 6 weeks on.
Yeah.
I wonder, one time she posted one of the Sundays. Yeah, they're having problems. The criminals always kind of get bad eyes and.
Yeah.
Make a motion to resume city council meeting item 12.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Spencer?
Aye.
Slater?
Aye.
Alvarez?
Aye.
Sanchez?
Aye.
Aye. Agenda item number 13 is discussion and possible action to declare City of Guymon real property at 216 Northwest 4th Street, which is lots 13 and 17 and the west 16 feet and 8 inches of Lot 18, Block 6, Original Town, as surplus and authorizing the city manager to sell by advertising for bids.
Make a motion we declare city of Guymon real property, 216 Northwest 4th Street, lots 13, 17, west 16, 8 inches wide, Block 6, Original Town, surplus, authorizing city manager to sell by advertising for bids, item 13.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second.
Spencer?
Aye.
Sanchez?
Aye.
Aye.
Slater?
Aye.
No.
Peterson?
Aye.
You've got 5 ayes.
That's right. Agenda item number 14 is reports from city council members and the city manager. So, Mr. Shannon, it's all.
I'd like to have the floor for just a little bit and kind of speed things up. I laid before you, there's a code enforcement. I think this is pretty impressive. Chad, I'll just go ahead and take over. There's that report that you gave me, I've shared with the council. I want you to look at the bottom line, how many active total cases that the code department is going through right now. It's 643. Our code department, and you'll see what they're doing. There's abandoned autos, water waste. We still have people not really paying attention to our water conservation programs we have. Unsecured structures, so I could read them all there, but I am real proud of the way the code enforcement people are approaching this. Now, I've got a few calls that they're not real happy with, but your people is just doing a fantastic job, and you are too, Chad, so I appreciate that. Oh, she's there. I didn't see you standing there. Okay.
But the total cases that we made already so far, 643, that was last week. As of this week, we have 720 cases.
There you go.
So we just keep adding and try to get more cases closed.
You're not busy at all.
And then again, like I said, y'all are doing it with professionalism, and so I applaud you for that. And you are making a difference. You are making a difference, so thank you very much. The next page, real quick, I think there's some, it's numbers that it amazes me, still amazes me, on our billing cycles, how many people we actually have here in town, how many water meters. There were 4,499 of them. So just some neat numbers, I think. Total bill was close to $1 million worth of utilities billed out. Fire department, thank you, Chief. He's got about a 3-page report there that's everything that they do in the course of September. So a really busy month, it looks like to me. And our police department also. So I just run through that because I want to spend just a little bit of time. I was asked by Councilman Sergio last month to visit about our soccer complex and where we're sitting at it, just everything in general. And I apologize, if you'll take one of these, pass it down. Just a short When I'm talking to Phase 1 of the Nash Soccer Complex, which I will add that it's a magnificent facility. If you don't believe me, try to get in there on a Saturday and go watch somebody play soccer. I mean, you'll have to park at No Man's Land's park to go across. Just a short where we're at in the payoff of that. There was money borrowed for Phase 1. And you'll see the contributors, what we have left to get for 2022 is the Seaboard with their amount pledged. Then we're going to kick back into 2023. You'll see the City of Guymon through its pledge. It's the final one. I believe this is number 6. And Seaboard, again, is their commitment. These are all good commitments that the city will be receiving in 23 is from the City of Guymon, Seaboard, and OPSU. You'll see OPSU broke theirs up in the agreement. Their last contribution of their pledge amount will be in 2031. With all that being said, you all need to understand that at the end of all the pledges that comes in, say in 2031, or when we get all the pledges in, the city will still be about $1.6 million we'll have to pay. Just, I'm throwing that out there. And I went back and went through a lot of different minutes, and the committee that helped raise and went to these different organizations said it would be no problem for them to come up with that money, so they will be approached soon to see where they're at, hopefully to raise the $1.6 million. So that way we'll have all of Phase 1 paid off, okay? I've took the liberty to see what Phase 2 would be, and I'll hand this out, and I probably should have just handed it out to you, but it's a soccer complex. We're going to fill it up for 2 more soccer fields, and the estimates right now as of last month was about as much as the original contract was. I think the original contract was $3.2 million. Phase 2, adding the 2 new fields with turf, is right at $3.3 million. So as the way I'd like to see this handled, once Phase 1 is done, or we get pretty close to being done, let's pursue Phase 2.
What year?
Well, in 2025, or excuse me, in May 1st, 2024 is basically when the note that the city went and got it ballooned. So we're hoping by 2024, all the money that was promised to come in, and I'd say, well, to answer your question, 2024.
Okay. I like it.
I will say something else in going through, and we just hope and pray that all the money comes in, because there was a lot of discussion that it wasn't going to cost the city anything. So we're going to hopefully hold that true.
About another 2. Did you?
But what an addition to the city of Guymon. Unbelievable.
Right.
Unbelievable.
I just want to add to the complex thing. I'm really pleased that Kids Inc. is playing out there, because it really is a complex that's meant for our whole community and not just one age group or one group of people. So I'm super stoked and super happy to see all those kids out there playing.
Well, Councilwoman, there was some misconception. There was, how the rumor mill or whatever, and I'm going to thank my staff and due diligence of people being in contact with Kids Inc. Apparently there was a rumor going around that they wouldn't welcome, but oh no. We welcome anybody and everyone to play at that soccer complex. So, and they have reserved that for quite a few games and practices, so that's a good thing.
And there's kids out there every single night. And after Kids Inc. started playing out there, there's more younger kids. And that, to me, is very, very pleasing and appealing, because that's that's what we are here to do, serve our youth and serve our
it's
community.
the little things that we're noticing that I noticed. You can go out there after, I don't know, I bet there's 1,500, 2,000 people. You can't tell anybody's been there. I mean, they respect, the public is respecting that facility out there, and that just makes me feel real good, real good. I like that, so.
So moving forward, I know that since we're on the topic of the soccer field, you know, this permanent daylight savings time deal, 2023 next year, November. You know, it's dark, pretty much. It's going to stay dark, kids, safety, all that. And I think we could look at some kind of, I don't want to say bridge or pedestrian way, I think we need to look into safety, especially with that school out there and the Nash complex. Can you not hear me? Good. So I think we need to start looking into that. This is for safety purposes.
Is that kind of up to the state?
Well,
we need to initiate it.
amen, yes. If we leave it up to the state relies on the city to, yes.
2023 will be here before, November 2023 will be here before we know it.
They're building, we were in Oklahoma City this weekend and up on the Northwest Expressway. They're building a pedestrian bridge, and probably my suggestion would be that our city manager reach out to the school, and then both of us reach out to ODOT as a combined deal, because we're looking at the safety of the children.
Yes.
Yeah, because right now we have kids walking right along that highway corridor, and they're walking either across from that neighborhood or they're walking from the apartments down there, and that's a big chunk of those kids every day are coming from those neighborhoods.
Good.
Yeah.
Probably lower the speed too out there.
Well, it is lowered a bit.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, there's a lot. That's a lot of kids crossing.
I just, with that permanent daylight savings, it's going to be dark for the majority of the school year. You know what I'm saying? So that's been one of my concerns with that area. And the state's rerouting all that traffic coming in on that highway.
We'll do the best we can to go ahead and get some blinking lights, or we'll petition them somehow to have that.
Stay after them.
Yeah, definitely.
Once we're on that side.
Definitely. Good question. Good comment.
Is that it, Mr. Chairman?
That's all I have.
That's all you have? Anybody have anything else?
I just, big applause, grateful for our emergency services, the firemen, any of the police officers that handled some situation that transpired in our area, for the professionalism and how prompt it was handled, for the alerts, for the up-to-date posts. Even if you are on Facebook, there was a summary of what took place. Those are very helpful for people nowadays with social media. Get around on social media. That's one good aspect of social media. But thank you to everybody that was involved in firemen, police officers, everybody that played a part in that, along with the schools.
Yeah, I think it's vital we stay in communication with our community, especially since we don't even have a newspaper hardly at all that's barely doing anything. So there's really no central news agency for us. So the more we communicate with our public, the better it is.
Yeah,
I think all around.
That's all I have.
Well, I have to say that our community is putting on a fantastic musical just across the street at the Guymon Community Theater, and we'll be performing Thursday at 7:30 and Friday at 7:30. 2 performances on Saturday, 2 o'clock and 7:30, and then our last one will be Sunday at 2 o'clock. We have been through hell and back to get this production off. We've been trying to do this for 3 years now. We've been through several Cinderellas, several Princes. It's been tough. We just got our baker out of the hospital from a gallbladder surgery on Monday. So what we do to entertain you, please come support us.
Kudos.
Where do they get tickets?
They get tickets on Facebook. You can call the landline that we still have. Yes, there's a landline there still, 338-0019. But the best thing now, we have an event planner website that we go through on Facebook. So if you go to the Guymon Community Theater with Facebook page, there's a link. You can select your seats, purchase them right there. We're in the 21st century now.
I take it you got a partner?
Yeah, I'm Cinderella.
You're the new Cinderella?
Yeah, I'm the new Cinderella. Yep. Come see me in a dress.
I'd like to put out a little thought out there. This month is October, and there is going to be trick-or-treating from a lot of groups in our community. So just stay aware of our children and those types of events whenever we're driving and stuff, because, I mean, they're going to be out, and we want to make sure that they're safe as well. So.
And that's Monday, we're doing this Monday. Halloween. There was questions about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's events going on, I think, all throughout that whole week, but Halloween, Monday.
Halloween
Is that
weekend.
Is that it, Jolene?
I think that's
Anything else?
it.
I got just a few things, then we'll get out of here so Sergio can go home. I think he's on overtime. Today was, had Mike and I followed, Mike was a facilitator and I was for leadership at Guymon, for the city deal. We had a great day with the Leadership Guymon class. It's kind of an abbreviated one and a little different, but it was a real great time. One of the things, and I've got to say it, but today I was just blown away because I'm sitting in the back, and when one of our senior employees got up and gave his talk, it was excellent. I wish we'd had a camera. Next time he talks, we're going to film it because it was great. It was motivational. We had a great day, and I was tickled to get to sit and listen to all the department heads talk about their passion, and that's what they do for the city of Guymon and the citizens. And it just made me feel so much better about where we were as a city. You know, you always question things, but today was great. So again, thank you to all our city employees. Thank you to all you folks that participated with that group today. I'm going to steal Mike's thunder because he didn't bring it up. I don't think, or I might have slept through it. I think the state's going to crank off on their overlay project on Main Street this week.
If I would have said that, I'd had to correct myself. We got news about 5:30 that something happened to one of the machines. They're going to start Monday.
But we're replacing some curb and gutters so that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're
From where to where?
from 7th Street to 11th Street on Main Street.
That bouncy piece of road. And the other reminder, and I'm not sure, but I think you can contact Tina or Mike. The Chamber of Commerce banquet's this Thursday night out at the Rodeo Grounds building. I think it starts at 6.
Correct.
Social hour. And I think the city's got some tables and some seats available. Is that right?
We don't have a table, but
We'll get
tickets.
seats.
Not yet. We got the bids. And I will say something, I mean, I'm glad, thank you, Sergio, for bringing that up. We just started a budget process, and it's going to be an interesting year this year, ladies and gentlemen. We've been about a day and a half into meeting with our staff, and cost of utilities, cost of gas, and we're seeing some major increases. So 2023 is going to be very interesting. Very interesting. So
I was going to bring up the same thing. I was at OML board meeting last Wednesday, and that with the folks and all the different meetings, that was a very big topic of what our city's going to do. The ones that own utility providers, but the biggest thing was gas was going back up. And there's a lot of them down there that says, we've pretty well blown our budget. We don't have much left, and they're on June to July budgets.
well,
So
I'm going to brag on my staff that not my staff, our staff,
Right.
that they have watched their budget, even though gasoline, diesel, and everything, just the cost of goods and services went up. They're super. It did. You look at the budget sheets right now, and they've done a magnificent job. and spending within their means right now, so.
Okay.
And still providing good quality service, so thank you guys.
Okay, with that, anybody have anything else?
No, sir.
Any public comments and announcements?
I do. So first we're doing trunk or treat, October 29th from 2 to 4, and we're also doing coffee with code enforcement and building inspector.
Oh,
So, just spread the word so a lot of people can show up. The last coffee with code enforcement, we only had about 10 people show up.